Let's Talk Politics, and we're counting down to the general elections. We are just weeks away from crucial polls that will decide Nigeria's political destiny, perhaps even in its development and where it hopes to be for the next 4 years. And so with us, we have this day the presidential candidate of Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party. And Tope Fasua is his name. I'm great to have you join us on Let's Talk Politics on AIG Media. First and foremost, I will go through your profile. You've got a rich CV. You're on all the way from economics into infotech. You also have a great background too in entrepreneurship. You're also an author, and you've been involved in a number of things, all the way leading up to become the presidential candidate of the ANRP. Thank you very much. The question everyone would ask every presidential candidate is, why do you want to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Thank you very much. Several reasons, we live in a dysfunctional country right now. A kind of a dystopia kind of situation is where we have found ourselves. And I, for one, have never been in a place, I don't like being in a place of chaos, and again, sometimes when you're in such places where there's a lot of chaos around, you try to get other people to do the work. However, when you trusted a couple of people to try and do the work and they are not kind of giving you the right result, then you have to know that it's time for you to step up and do the job yourself. So I remember in one of the banks that I worked, when I was about to leave, they administered some sort of psychometric test and, randomly, and I think what that thing told them, I still remember very well. They said, don't let this guy leave your system, right? Even though they let me leave the system. So, of course, the place went down after a while anyway. But anyhow, what I'm trying to say is that I'm always trying to add value anywhere I find myself. And however, from a much more realistic point of view, I mean, we all know where Nigeria is today. We've become the butt of jokes in the world. As I was coming to this station, at Adelode Junction, funny enough, where the traffic light was, all of a sudden there was this Prado Jeep that was like number one on the queue, and we saw that the door was opening with a force and closing with force. And so by the time the driver that was bringing me overtook the car, we found there was a white man in front of the car, and there was a young boy, begging for money there. And, so the white man was reacting violently to that boy. It was like, why you, my car, that it was sitting in front of the passengers. So what that told me, I wish I could have captured it on camera. We go around saying, look, we want to bring foreign investors and all of that, but the truth is that the country is a shame to itself. And Nigeria actually has become, a shame to the concept of nationhood. Let's not deceive ourselves. I remember one of my colleagues, presidential candidates, said he's running, but he decided to run because one day he flew first class into the U.S. and then when he got to the U.S., he was embarrassed. He was embarrassed because someone pulled him over. Where are you coming from? You're a black man. Yes, we don't care. Yes, and when you get to that kind of level, you would react badly because you'll be wondering, look, I just flew first class. Do you know who I am? Oh, wow. You want it? And then it gets very messy, So that's the reason why I believe that we need to get involved. Apart from that, I would say that I'm running for presidency, not for any other thing in between, because I understand perfectly well that what we need right now is a kind of revolution in this country. However, let it be a revolution of ideas, and there's a lot that needs to be disrupted, positive disruption from the very top. Once you can get that sorted, everything will, domino effect will cascade down.
Talking about revolution of ideas, I've seen your party's logo. It's got an interesting logo, a laptop and a tree rising from.
Interesting. We're in the information age, we're in the tech age. We're in the knowledge age. We're in the age of artificial intelligence, big data, connectivity, robotics. You know what I'm saying? So we need to connect with that already. And, our logo appeals to the students, right? People in universities, polytechnics, and so on. We have more than about 10 million Nigerians in that sphere. If they could hook up to what we're trying to say, we are for them, and we are the ones that will take this country
Let's
forward.
talk about being ambitious of some sort. Every government or candidate talks about Nigeria moving away from oil. Look at the oil market, the price is volatile. We have a budget benchmark set at $60, whereas oil is trading in the lows of $50 today. But we talk agriculture too, but we haven't fared very well. If you look at the prices of basic food items in the market, you look at what farmers tell you many times about the problems they face. The graduates aren't interested in going in numbers back to the farms because we're still doing basically subsistence farming. What's your idea around this? What do you hope to bring in?
Right, when you talk about the budget, you talk about crude oil, and then you talked about Greek. So let's look at that. So the first thing is I wonder when and how we started to benchmark our entire budget on crude oil, because again, from our research in ANRP, we find out that crude oil isn't worth as much as the kind of emphasis and total reliance that we place on it. A barrel of crude oil just over $50 now, $50. At $50, at 305 to the dollar, that's 15,250. 15,250 for 1 barrel of crude oil. And 1 barrel contains 159 liters. So if you divide 15,250 by 159, you realize that 1 liter of crude oil on the international market is 95 naira. Now, okay, but if you come here, you find out that let's look at palm oil. Palm oil is also traded, and in a place like Malaysia, Indonesia, they've created financial market instruments on palm oil. And they got some of the seeds from here in the early 1900s, truth be told, from Africa. And but they've gone far with it. Right now, Malaysia and Indonesia individually, they produce about 25 billion liters of palm oil every year. That's about 68 million liters every month, or thereabouts. Last time I checked, and about that it came to about 400 every day, rather 68 million liters every day. That means by barrel it's about 430,000 barrels, 430,000 barrels or thereabouts. Every day of palm oil, and so you can imagine how many people are involved in the palm oil food chain. I mean, in the value chain, rather, compared to how many people are involved in crude oil. So the only reason why crude oil can have a bit of allure, a bit of attraction, is because it happens to be a product where we add no value in Nigeria. We add no value, and it's also guys are sitting in office somewhere in some towers somewhere, and then you get this alert going into your JP Morgan account in New York. That you sold so much. Otherwise, it actually has very little in terms of value add. So that's it. So we need to actually begin to take the budget away from crude oil. The whole idea that the first item on our budget is crude oil. How many million liters will take every day? How much price? Totally wrong. I mean, some of us are from private sector organizations, and when you want to do your budget, the first thing is you have to populate the first aspect of your revenue. So where can we get revenue from? Everything must be seen, not only crude oil. So now again, I don't understand why they would put 2.3 million liters at 60, for example, because number one, it presupposes that everything we make is ours. No. According to NAITI, only 36% of what we drill belongs to Nigeria. The rest belongs to international oil companies. So in terms of agriculture, of course, we have to go to, we have to take science into agriculture, but maybe we'll be able to talk about that as we go along.
All right, let's take a quick break. We're still talking with the presidential candidate of the Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, Tope Fasua, on Let's Talk Politics. Please stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back to Let's Talk Politics, and we're still having the discussion with the presidential candidate of Abundant Nigeria Renewal Party, Tope Fasua. And we're having discussions bordering on education and the interesting logo of his party, which has a plant rising from a laptop, which is technology and then agriculture too. But education, very important. We look at this one also too. It was last year, I think, in 2018, when Microsoft founder Bill Gates did criticize Nigeria's budget system, where he said, for example, we weren't budgeting according to the needs of the people. We just had a template, and then the basic needs weren't being met. You look at the dashboard of Nigeria's fundamentals and the economy of the individual. You look at the poverty. I mean, we're just talking about Nigeria being the poverty capital of the world. Unemployment rates are high up there among the young people, rising significantly. Everyone talks about when they come into office, we're going to provide jobs for the people. We're going to have a social intervention program to help the poorest of the poor. Do you have plans to bring in jobs into the system, or you have something else?
Absolutely. Well, jobs, right? But let's look at the premise for this discussion. So, Bill Gates came in here and told our people, and I'm sure that they will never invite him to any of their banquets again. But that was the day I knew that he was a man with a good heart, you know. And contrary to what some people say about, philanthropists from that part, it takes a lot of love for humanity for you to come to a country like this and tell them that, look, you guys are not providing for your human capital. You're not providing for your people. And you're building so-called monstrosities all over the place that your people cannot manage. And he did say that he believes that if they invested in the human beings will build infrastructure. But if you build infrastructure, but you haven't built the human being, they can't maintain even the infrastructure. Again, when the World Bank met the last time in Bali, Indonesia, and their large big meeting, one of the things that came out was also that the president of the World Bank, Jim Yong Kim, apologized to developing countries that the World Bank has, unfortunately pushed us down the area of infrastructure rather than human capital development. Now, we happen to be a people who don't like to think for themselves, so we have to take a cue from what the World Bank says. I remember very vividly we had a lot of war on this issue when Okonjo-Iweala was here, when Kemi Adeosun was here. They were talking about infrastructure, and even the president right now is still talking about infrastructure. Now, there's nothing wrong about building infrastructure, but it will never translate into sustainable growth and jobs for your people, especially when you have to import every component of that infrastructure, including the labor to build it, including the maintenance of that infrastructure. So a lot of what we're doing right now is being powered by the Chinese, for example. The entire rail system is being powered by the Chinese. The labor, the technology, the design, even the drivers of the trains are Chinese. From Abuja to Kaduna, the drivers are Chinese. So in terms of maintenance, everything is that. So in this last meeting of the World Bank, they came out with one ingenious idea called the HCI, Human Capital Index. And the Human Capital Index is a percentage-based system. Nigeria came 152nd out of 157 countries that were surveyed in terms of Human Capital Index in the world. We're better than countries like Nigeria, Chad, South Sudan, and a couple of one or two African countries. And our score was 34%. And what that 34% means is that any child born in Nigeria has only 34% chance of fulfilling his potentials for himself, herself, or the country. Now, that's bad enough, So, be that as it may. Now, but when we talk about investment in human capital, people also get it wrong. It's not about increasing the allocation for education. Now, mind you that the Human Capital Index and what Bill Gates was talking about, Bill Gates also talked about nutrition, and that they realize that there's a way that if a child doesn't get the kind of nutrition that he should get between the ages 0 and 3, there's a way that the brain shrinks. And you can't actually expand that brain to full capacity again, maybe at least. It's got to be a matter of percentages anyway. So because there are people who turn around, who are still geniuses at that age. So now it's not about just investing in just dumping money. The Human Capital Index also talks about not only health issues, talks about education, access to hospitals, access to school, and all of that stuff is what makes a well-rounded person. So it's not just about dumping money or increasing allocation in the budget to education. For me and in ANRP, what we're thinking about is slightly different. Of course, at the universal basic level, we have to ensure zero tolerance on out-of-school children. We have 13.2 million children walking the street. That is 132 million potential Nigerians in the future without education, because people who don't have education now will not see reason to give their children education. And so no culture, no religion permits it. It is wrong. It is just a vestige, a kind of remainder of some sort of feudal system that's going on in some parts of this country, not only in the north, even we're beginning to see a lot of that in the south of Nigeria, whereby people believe that some people are not entitled to education, just it's your destiny, you are born that way, and all of that. It is totally unacceptable. But at the tertiary stage is where the real challenge is for us. That, what we need to move education at that level away from theory into practical. And what we're thinking about in the ANRP is that we should be able to have a scenario where a VC, a vice chancellor in university wants to build a road, right? Why is he waiting to get big money from government and go to call Julius Berger to come and do a road when you have civil engineering students there? You have material science, you have civil engineering, you have mechanical engineering, you have people who can do the work, right? At least let them do part of the work and begin to get something on their CV. That is this idea of waiting until year 4, year 5 before you start to write projects and write dissertations and so on, and you see where they dump those things that we write. Someone's best idea, because some of them are really honest ideas. And then you know what I'm saying? So your best honest ideas will be used to sell plantain bolly for you on the road, and you will see the work that you did, which, when you're living in an age of knowledge and information now, those information and that knowledge is the biggest earner for the country. The top 6 companies in the world by market capitalization, by market value, are products of people's brains. Some of them were started in university dorms. We're talking of Apple, Google, Amazon, Facebook, Alibaba, Microsoft. And each of these companies are far bigger than the Nigerian economy, by far. Even the smallest of them is Facebook and Alibaba, toggling the 6th position at about $500 billion. Nigeria's economy, total economy, GDP is about $400 billion. So it's a great injustice, that we are saying that every university student, every university polytechnic college should be useful to the Nigerian economy, and you should pay them a token for whatever it is they add to the Nigerian economy.
Restructuring has been a constant discussion I've had among most of the presidential candidates, because something very important in what they hope to achieve. Do you think it's a myth that if this country was restructured around economic and political lines, that we can achieve growth, or it's something that you think has to be done if, for example, you get elected as President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
Yes, you see, actually, restructuring is standard, right? It's standard. It's something that every country needs to write into their constitution, if that's what it takes, right? It's just like running a company. At the end of the day, you will have to run your country the way you run a company, the way you run your household. If you talk to the Germans, for example, the Germans see a country, a nation, as just a reflection of the household, and that's how it has to be. So even in your house, sometimes you have to rearrange the sitting room, right? You have to say, okay, what can we do? You have to touch up the house. You have to do some repainting. You have to move one thing here and there. You have to move out the furniture sometimes, get a new TV and so on. So restructuring is constant, right? No company runs with the same structure. Sometimes you have to create new departments. You have to expand. You have to do whatever, You have to employ people from outside and so on. So, and you have to sack some people as well. So to a large extent, I believe in restructuring, but I believe that what we should begin to do is to look at the 68 items in the exclusive and begin to take some out. Things like prisons, states can handle prisons to an extent. Things like rail, things like power, things like some of these roads, they call it trunk roads. Small roads that look, Amadi Bello Way here is a federal government road. Why is it a federal government road? You know what I'm saying? So these are things we need to begin to think large, think big for this country, and get things done. So I believe in restructuring, but I don't fetishize restructuring. I don't believe we can restructure once and for all. I think you have to keep restructuring because, hey, let me let you know, what we have seen on the matter of restructuring is that people who wanted something 20 years ago are the ones say they don't want it now. Those who said they didn't want things 20 years ago want it now. We in the Southwest, Awolowo was writing for federalism, right? That we should come together as a country. But today, many people in the Southwest will say, no, we don't even want, let everybody go on their own and regionalism. No, they wrote that we should come together. Things like state policing, there was a time that there was something called Hausa police. We said we didn't want Hausa police, we wanted a national police. But now we're saying we want state police. So we would never get to a point where we would say it is perfect. There's no perfect, The United States, where federalism came, they said, look, if you look at the Constitution, they talk about a more perfect union. Meaning that you assume that the union is perfect, but it will never be perfect. In the United States, you still have several, regions that are on their own right now, regions that are, kind of independent region within the United States. So don't fetishize restructuring, but restructuring must be built into the constitution of the country.
All right, we'll leave it at that. Thank you very much, Tope Fasua.
You're welcome.
Presidential candidate of abundant Nigeria Renewal Party as we head into the 2019 general elections. Just a couple of weeks away. All the best.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Till next time, hook up with Let's Talk Politics on AIG Media. You can hook us on social media, online. We have our handles all displayed. Bye-bye.